Hello YouTube, this is Tim, SamY7, and this is part 2 of my Labyrinth Lord review, which is a retro clone of Dungeons & Dragons. So I'll just get right back into it. I'm going to be using the optional rules to roll under the stat on a d20 for actions not covered by the rules. Someone on the ALL forum also said about using different dice for this depending on difficulty, or different groups of dice. But the standard way is to give a bonus or penalty to the roll. And they were saying, 2d6, 3d6, even like 1d30 for a tough thing, 1d24. There's all kinds of funky dice out there if you really want to mess with it. But for me, I'm probably just going to use the d20 and, just add a few bonuses or penalties depending on how difficult things are. Going on to the monsters, I like the descriptions of them. I was a little alarmed by the number encountered part. Some of them seem to be kind of high, especially for like first and second level. But then I started to realize that fleeing and using other tactics other than just slogging it out, with a weapon, is an idea that I think that later editions of D&D have lost. It can be just as powerful to use your brains as it can be to use your sword arm. And I just think that kind of just emphasizes that sometimes there's more of them, sometimes there's less of them. And depending on the situation, you have to adjust your tactics, Do you set up an ambush? Do you use the doors as a choke point? Things like that. And there isn't so many rules. Like again, modern edition of games, I can't stand all the miniatures focus. I like using miniatures in gaming, but I hate all the rules that come with it in more crunchy games. So for me, I think this version of D&D is going to be my favorite. And check out the Advanced Edition companion for more monsters. And there's also, like I said, other monsters on old school blogs, pretty much everywhere. And I like that there's wandering monsters again, because that kind of was lost. There's a nice little table on page 104 to roll up some random lurkers in the dark halls and in wilderness encounters. And it's kind of fun to randomly stock a dungeon. I've been making a big mega dungeon. And it's kind of interesting to just let the chart kind of give you ideas. I don't always stick with the randomness of the chart, but I do like to. It kind of makes GM work a little bit more fun to roll the dice and see how it works out. See if there's treasure in there. Oh, holy cow! I rolled a 2, so there's a magic item. And I rolled a whatever. So it's kind of fun. It almost brings more fun to the GM to use the different charts and the dice rolls to figure things out. Before I looked at this edition, like random generation of dungeons was kind of like, I don't know. But it gives some structure, and if you are having sort of like a writer's block sort of day, it's kind of nice to be able to just roll on the chart and see what happens. There's a sample adventure in the back of the book, and he goes through how he generated the dungeon with those dungeon generation rules I was just talking about in the tables. So that was kind of illuminating to see how he did it and how he got to the point where he did in the adventure. In the very back, there's a map of the known lands, which points out where certain races live. There's some towns, some ruins, some mountains, some forests and things like that. I think there's some water. So it kind of gives like a generic, lay of the land in case you want to use that. Basically, Labyrinth Lord is a trimmed down, the fat taken off. It's very lean. It's intact, but I think that Dan improved on the original game that he's trying to emulate. It's not a nice like restatement of the rules, and it's more clear. I enjoyed reading it. I have my little highlighter, because I made sure to mark the parts that I'd probably forget as I was running the game. But the nice thing is you really don't need all that much to run it. There isn't as many rules to remember. There isn't 3 books, It's just in one little, PDF or one little book. And like I said, it's really kind of given back that energy I needed to run a fantasy game. The burnout factor, I can't emphasize enough on the more modern edition of the games. I don't want to run them. I don't even really want to play them. I tried playing in a 3.5 game, and I don't know. I just wasn't in it. I didn't really care as much as I probably should have. So I've kind of taken a little break, and I think Labyrinth Lord will be a nice little sort of voyage back into fantasy gaming. So it's definitely brought some fresh air into my fantasy, like especially like the Dungeons and Dragons fantasy, and I'm looking forward to playing in games. I don't know if I'll ever get to play in them face to face, but I'll probably end up running it. But I'm gonna try to run the game and introduce the game to different places, different people at my gaming club. I have a gaming club in Pittsburgh that I go to and belong to, so hopefully I get some players and kind of experience what it's like to wander around in a big dungeon again. As far as the thing about making a big dungeon interesting, there's lots of different encounters. You basically just feel free to look online. There's plenty of things that can make those interesting again, and just make sure that every room is unique or kind of unique. And there's different encounters, and feel free to throw in some politics in the dungeon, like as I talked about before. But Labyrinth Lord, it's free download. I mean, if it's free, it's for me. So eventually I'll probably get the hardcover version if I can get my wife to let me have a few more dollars in my pocket to spend. But we'll see. I don't know. So check it out, Labyrinth Lord. It's cool. I'm enjoying it, and I'm kind of an old school convert, so I'm looking forward to more gaming with the new set, new rules. So check it out, and I'll talk to you guys later.